how it applies to your life. The email address for Thomas is stagesoflove@gmail.com. You can also tour the website at thestagesoflove.com. You'll see Thomas's blog, how to access past calls and upcoming events. Our next call is October 19th, and it is now 6 p.m. Here is Thomas.
Give me a second, Joanne.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second here. I think I made a mistake on the phone number.
Welcome to the call. The call will start shortly.
This is Washa and Edward.
Hi,
Hello,
welcome to the
Washa
call.
and Edward.
The call will start in just a moment.
Mm-hmm. But I am going to do a quick testing here. So as I'm speaking, for those of you who are on the line right now, is my voice coming through clearly?
Hi, this is Rod from Santa Rosa.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Thanks. Because, Joanne, you're breaking up something bad. Ron, my brother Ron, it sounds like you were breaking up a little bit there, too.
How's this?
But
Thomas, I'm going to hang up and call back in.
Goodbye, Joanne. Thank you. All right, Joanne, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the September 2014 Stages of Love call. Really appreciate you making the time and being on tonight's call. As people ding in, if you would, just include the noise, okay? Just include it. It's part of the deal. So a little housekeeping, how the call is going to go, and also I want to acknowledge something. So first I want to acknowledge that yesterday I sent out a reminder text, and I sent out the recording number, and then I realized it. And so today when I sent out the reminder, I changed the call number, but Ian got on a few minutes ago and said that I put 695 as the area code instead of 605. If I did that, I want to thank those of you who are here for having the right number. I haven't checked it yet to see because I haven't been able to go back and look. But, and for folks who weren't able to make it, if you're listening to this recording, I apologize. In the future, Russia, you're going to proof any text before I send it out to any other people. How about that if we make that a deal?
All right, that works.
Absolutely. Okay, so what are we here for today? Well, I forgot the housekeeping. So in a moment, I'm going to mute everybody on the call, and you won't have to worry about your background noise during that period. And then 2 or 3 times during the call, I'm going to open up the call for sharing. So I'm really asking you to put yourself in the call, to really listen closely, and to share if you have that opportunity, because it does provide something for everybody listening. So I'm about to mute the call now. Okay, so you're all now muted. So what are we here about today? Today, we are here about maximizing the quality of your life. And by maximizing the quality of your life, you'll naturally maximize the quality of your relationships. Now, for those of you who are single, just by virtue of maximizing the quality of your life, just by maximizing the quality of your life will have you settle for nothing less than what will support the number one goal. And the number one goal is inner peace. So inner peace and happiness are interchangeable. But the problem with going for happiness is that happiness is elusive, while inner peace is attainable. Now, many of you have already made choices in your life, right? I mean, we all have choices we've made. Some of you are in a couple, and you might be dealing with challenges, disappointments, betrayal. For some of you, even hopelessness. You see, the very nature of life is that it is a series of corrections. Corrections to get back on course. And the key word here is course. If you're flying an airplane from, let's say, San Francisco to Los Angeles, mostly the plane is never on track. It's off course. Because the virtue of flying an airplane is that you're constantly getting back on course. As it is with driving a car, even riding a bike, you're just off course most of the time. Now, in my current series of workshops, we're distinguishing our theme of life. I highly recommend that you do that work, the work to distinguish your theme. In fact, I have a coaching package available that's specifically designed for that work, the work that we're doing on this call. All the distinguishing of your, everything that we're distinguishing on the call, but specifically theme of life. And for details on that package, just email me, thestagesoflove@gmail.com. Now, some of the participants in the workshop have pretty well gotten their theme distinguished. And one, she distinguished that life is unfair. And that's her theme. And you know, if you look at what we think is fairness, life is unfair. But when you are that life is simply life, then it isn't about fair or unfair. It's just life. And my acronym for life is listening intently, forever exploring. See, your theme, undistinguished, has your whole life lived through a constant unconscious evaluation. Your adjustments and your readjustments to get back on course will be in the name of your theme versus adjusting and readjusting for maximizing the quality of your life. Okay, so what does it look like, the maximizing the quality of your life? Well, the first action is you want to get present, really present, to what's running you, the theme of your life. See, for some of you, it might be life is unfair. It also might be that life sucks. It might be I'm a disappointment. It could be I'm pissed off. It could also be life shouldn't be this way. It could be life is dangerous. There are a number of themes that you could be beating your drum to. But no matter what the theme is, it leaves you, number one, avoiding situations, actions, and circumstances. And number two, justifying who you have to be to avoid those situations, actions, and circumstances. And then number three, has you validate the correlated actions, minimizing the quality of your life. We have to get to a place where we get that life is hard. Life is difficult, and life is not fair. I think Scott Peck said it best in his book, The Road Less Traveled. He said, and I quote, "This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. It's a great truth because once we truly see this truth, we transcend it. Once we truly know that life is difficult, that life is hard, that life is not fair, and accept it, then life is no longer difficult. Life is no longer hard, and life is no longer unfair. Because once it's accepted, that fact no longer matters." End quote. Now, when you get that, really get that, then you can be that life is life. And when life is simply life, the conversation for maximizing its quality becomes possible. Now, for some of you, your thought process might be, Life is high quality when I'm getting what I want. But this is a child's mentality. Quality of life isn't about you getting what you want necessarily. Though I'm very interested in every single one of you getting what you want. You understand? Very interested in that. But you see, when you play the game of life for the goodies, then the goodies will never satisfy you. So we got to look at what's at the heart of the matter for us. What's your sweet spot? So number one in maximizing the quality of your life is to distinguish your theme of life. Number two is to determine your sweet spot. See, the sweet spot is a term of art used in baseball and used in tennis. It's the spot on the bat or the spot on the tennis racket that when it makes contact with the ball creates the most velocity with the least amount of effort. I'm using that term of art here. It's the thing that, when you do it, gives your life the most velocity with the least amount of effort. One thing is clear. The consequence of not finding your sweet spot includes chronic, lingering dissatisfaction, an absence of inner peace, and a sense of not being fully in sync with your inner self. A lack of integrity, if you will. So distinguishing your sweet spot is the second action. After years of developing myself and working around my passion, it finally occurred to me. This is my sweet spot. The work I'm doing with you now is my sweet spot. When I focus on this work, everything else falls into place. My passion, my life purpose is this. It gets me up in the morning. It gets me alive, expressing my vitality. It is the vitality I bring to my life and the passion I bring to my couple. And the same vitality and passion is what has us as a couple maximize the quality of our relationship and maximize the quality of our lives and maximize the quality of each other's lives. So I want to check in with you, make sure that you are paying attention. I know how easy it is to start drifting off, because I'd like to work together with you. I'd like to work together on these first two actions to flesh out. Let's look at what are your values. What is important to you as a human being, not as a partner in a couple, not as a single seeking his or her partner, but as an individual, getting clear about what's important to you and clear about what you really want to go after. So that's what we're going to deal with next. And we're going to do that by looking at 7 very specific areas. I like Dr. DeMartini and the way that he distinguishes the 7 areas of focus. And I also like Anthony Robbins' pyramid of mastery, where he creates 7 areas of focus. So I've taken our terms and I've used both DeMartini and Robbins to flesh out what I'm trying to distinguish here. And I'm going to use a pyramid. It's the pyramid of mastery that Robbins created, and I'm going to change some of the names a bit to fit our purposes. So let's go through the 7 areas, and I'll distinguish each one, and then the work that's necessary to start getting to your sweet spot. See, rarely is your sweet spot right there on the tip of your tongue. What happens is the kinds of conversations that we're having right now and the kinds of conversations that I have with you in our coaching sessions and in our workshops turns on some of your brain cells. It wakes up some of your memories, and it starts to have your thinking different than usual. The National Science Foundation says we have 15 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 95% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday. My goal, my intention is to encourage new thinking, new thoughts. And I'm not stuck on the kind of thoughts you have or the kind of thoughts you generate, but I am interested in new thoughts, because new thoughts will lead to new ways to be, and new ways to be will lead to new actions, and new actions will lead to new results, and new results, a new life. So while all of the 7 areas that we're going to distinguish are important, the hierarchy goes like this. At the base of the pyramid, now if you have the ability, I'd like for you to write this down. The base of the pyramid is your physical body. See, because it holds the whole pyramid. The physical body is the vehicle through which you experience your life. You see, if you don't master your physical body, your capacity to maximize your health, your energy, and your vitality, all the money and all the career success and all the contribution in the world will make no difference. So above the physical body in the next tier on the pyramid is the emotional body. Now, we deal with the emotional body a lot in my series of workshops. It's fundamental, the center of the work we do. The emotional body is where your undistinguished theme of life and the determination of your sweet spot lives. All areas of your life are impacted by the emotional body, but you see, it has no language. It is experiential. And that's why we have to work to get at it. And we have to learn to apply language to that which has no language. Now, if you spend all your time trying to solve your relationship problems, which, by the way, is the next tier right above the emotional body, if you're trying to solve all your relationship problems, but you've not mastered your emotional body, well, that's just a recipe for disaster. Because without mastering the emotional body and getting to your theme and then distinguishing your sweet spot, then ultimately you get to your life purpose, you will always be at the mercy of the emotional body's invisible yet magnetic pull. The workshops I'm talking about run 5 months. I have one currently in Sacramento. It goes through December. I have a new one starting in San Jose come January, delving into these matters. Now, if any of you on the call are interested in doing this work, this Thursday night in Sacramento at 7 p.m., if you're not already registered in the workshop, you can pay $60 for the evening, and we will be doing the work to get to your theme of life. It's an exciting and invaluable evening. I invite you to come and participate if you can do that. Now, back to the hierarchy. Having an understanding of your emotional body will awaken. Then we'll go to the next tier, and that's your relationships. Now, there's a lot to say about relationships, so I'm going to come back to that a little later. I'm going to move past it now just so we get all 7 of the focuses in. I'm going to go straight to the next one, and this one is one of my favorites, time. You see, you must determine how you're going to focus and spend your time in order to create, experience, and expand on the quality of your life. So let's talk just for a moment about time. I'm 57 years old, and statistically, I have about 10,220 days left in my life. That's based on my living to hit 85. Now, 1/3, or about 3,500 days, let's say, I'll be sleeping, resting. So let's call what I have left 6,720 days. Now, some of you on here might be cigarette smokers, and I'm certainly not interested in bashing anybody. But if I chose to smoke cigarettes, they say that I would forfeit about 10 years of my life. That's 3,650 days that I would be giving to that habit called cigarettes. And that would leave me with about 3,000 days. The question becomes, how will I use my days? And the question to you is, how will you use yours? What habits are using you up? You see, I'm fortunate in that I don't use cigarettes. So that gives me my 6,500 days, rough estimate and statistically speaking. How many days do you have left? What are you willing to give those days to? Now, we've covered a lot of ground up until now, and I'm sure you've drifted away and come back, and you've drifted away and come back. But for sure, there's something waking up over there. And I'd like to hear from a couple of you, so I'm going to open the line. So you're unmuted. Take this moment, just shout your name out. That's how we'll know that you want to share, not just your first name, and then I'll call on you. But any thoughts, anything you'd like to say regarding your days, regarding the habits that you notice that are stealing time away from what really matters to you, who'd be willing to share something?
This is Rasha.
Yeah, Russia.
So when you were sharing about the days and the timeline,
Yeah.
I just really, really got present to just enjoyment, right? I'm with my parents in Monterey, and we just finished the 17-mile drive, and I tell you, watching their faces, it was the most amazing experience, right? Like just the joy on their faces and the wonder. And I really what matters to me, Thomas, is that. Like experiencing another human being alive. Like something in them coming alive and experiencing that aliveness with them again.
Nice.
I don't know how to explain it in words. It's very, but it's something. It's like a thrill. It's like feeling in my body.
Yeah, it communicates for sure. Thanks, Russia. Anybody else want to pipe in? Going. So back to the pyramid. So if you can visualize it, if you're not writing it down, visualize you have the physical body at the base. The next layer is the emotional body. The third layer of the pyramid is relationships. The next is time. And now we move right into our life purpose, which in this case is going to include your careers, your work, whatever you're giving yourself to right now that creates your financial well-being. But if you were to really distinguish your life purpose, and by the way, I'm not suggesting that some of you haven't, but if you really did get in touch with that, and then you were able to add value to your life purpose, you could then create wealth, which is the next tier, and that tier is the finance tier. Then the very top tier of the pyramid is spirituality. See, spiritual growth and your capacity to celebrate and contribute are at the top because you can't authentically enjoy the fruits of your labor without giving back and including others. So now that's the pyramid, and that is the 7 areas of focus. The one practice we'll take on, and one of the things that I do in my coaching sessions, is a cost-benefit analysis. That, by the way, is the third action. You do a cost-benefit analysis in each of the 7 areas. An example, the physical body. You distinguish what you will tolerate regarding your body and your health. Now, by the way, the cost-benefit analysis and distinguishing your tolerances and your deal breakers, which, by the way, is number 4, step number 4, kind of run together. So what do you tolerate regarding your body and your health? Do you tolerate 5 extra pounds, 10, 20, 50 or more? Do you tolerate getting into your cravings and being at the mercy of those cravings? Do you tolerate bad eating habits, pretending that one day it'll be different? Do you eat for low energy and then compensate with stimulants? What about your blood pressure, your triglycerides? What do you tolerate? And then, what is the benefit, or said better, what is the payoff of what you tolerate? Because there's definitely a payoff or you wouldn't allow it. At Landmark Education, they say that a human being will only do that which gives them a significant payoff. So an example here in the physical body may be a payoff is that you get to complain to others about your health and they listen to you with pity. Or maybe you become the center of attention because of health issues, or because you need to be attended to more than anyone else. Or maybe your high blood pressure is the perfect excuse not to exert yourself and not to participate in what life has to offer. Now you want to get very clear on the cost. The costs are generally louder, but the payoffs have had more power until they're distinguished alongside the costs. And at that point, once you get the costs and the payoffs, you can determine what are my deal breakers. You see, with the physical body, a deal breaker for me is high blood sugar. A deal breaker for me is high blood pressure. A deal breaker for me is 5 pounds of excess weight. A deal breaker for me is stimulating to compensate for low energy eating. They're all deal breakers for me. Consider the deal breakers for you. And I want to hear you. You know, when it comes to the physical body, everybody on this call has a physical body. Everybody on this call is tolerating something regarding your health and your physical body. What are you tolerating? And what do you see might be the payoff or the cost? Just say your name, get 1 or 2 people to share. I'm on now. Raphael always says to me, it's always the same people who share. And I say, I know. You didn't share either, right? All right, you guys, I'm going to move on, okay? I only discuss this a little bit. Okay, so now we'll move on to the emotional body. What emotions do you tolerate? Do you tolerate jealousy, envy, shame, guilt, grief, despair, boredom? Do you tolerate the lack of love, the lack of compassion and generosity? Do you tolerate the lack of passion and gratitude? What are the payoffs that you tolerate in the emotional body? Perhaps you get to be right that life really is too hard. Or maybe you get to be right that nobody really does love you. What are the costs? You see, when the costs become too high, that's when you can call it a deal breaker. Deal breakers get defined, and then they must be dealt with head on, not a casual activity. And by the way, that is action number 5. Step number 5, action number 5. See, for me, in the area of the emotional body, a lack of vitality and a lack of passion are both deal breakers for me. Indifference and boredom, those are both deal breakers for me. Now, as I said earlier, we're going to dig now into relationships, and I have a lot more to say about relationships. Now, is it a cost-benefit analysis of the relationship itself? Probably not. It's a cost-benefit analysis based on what will I tolerate? What do I tolerate in myself and in others? And then I distinguish the deal breakers that I will not tolerate in myself, in others, and in my couple. Now listen, when you get to your deal breakers, you are then going to have to acknowledge, now we're talking in the relationship realm, so bring yourself back if you've drifted away. You're going to have to acknowledge where you're not honoring your word around those deal breakers. See, if I say deal breaker, but my actions are inconsistent with it being a deal breaker, like it really isn't a deal breaker, then that is a threat. And if I use threats in my couple or in any relationship that matters to me, that is a trust buster. A trust buster is a withdrawal from the heart bank. The heart bank is where you make deposits and withdrawals for the experience of true love. And what we want more of is the experience of true love. You want love experienced. You want love expressed. You want love expanded. That's why you have the relationships. By the way, for more on Trust Busters and the Heart Bank, go to my website, www.thestagesoflove.com. Click on recorded calls and listen to the April call. The fourth action has a deal breaker approached head on. It's resolved, dealt with powerfully, or you deal powerfully with the consequences. And if that's where you are, get a coach, call me, or at the very least, get a buddy that will motivate you into action. So we do a cost-benefit analysis on each of the tolerances, and we flesh out the deal breakers. You determine what stays in the tolerate box. Now listen closely. You determine what stays in the tolerate box and what goes into the deal breaker box. And then you want to look at what are the three things that must be present for me to experience harmony in my relationships. Now, you can look at any of your relationships to dig this up. But when I look at my couple, there are three very specific things that must be there for me to experience harmony. Number one is loyalty. I am loyal, and I want and I need loyalty. Number two is adventure, both in and outside of the bedroom. And number three is sincere, authentic communication. Now start thinking of what your three might be, even if you can come up with only one of the three, because I'm soon going to take some sharing, and I definitely want to hear from you, okay? Do I sound pushy? Because I'm trying to be a little pushy. Now, those are the three things that matter to me. Everything else is secondary. And some of you might be thinking, hey, what about love? Well, when I talk about love, what I'm really talking about is life energy. Because who you really are is pure love and life energy. Life energy is pure love. So if I am maximizing the quality of my life, if my partner is maximizing the quality of life, and together we're maximizing the quality of our relationship, love is present. True love is present. And then there's the three things that must be there for me to experience it harmoniously, and that's loyalty, adventure, and communication. And if any one of those three things are missing, that for me is a deal breaker. So your next action is that whatever left in the tolerate box, get this clearly, okay? Whatever's left in the tolerate box, you must choose to tolerate and give up the right to complain. I'm going to say it again. Whatever's left in that tolerate box, you must choose it, tolerate it, and give up the right to complain about it. Anything in the deal breaker box must be dealt with head on. So you got the two boxes, right? I want to make sure you're clear. One, you're choosing. It doesn't mean you like it. It doesn't mean you wouldn't have it be different if it could be different. But let's face facts, guys. Life is life. Everything isn't going to be exactly the way you want it to be. But there are some things you look at and you say, you know what, this is a perfect trade-off for everything else I get. And I say I can tolerate that. And then these are the deal breakers. And the deal breakers I must take on head on, powerfully. And then you're going to follow the same line of thinking with the rest of the pyramid. That would be for time. In other words, how will you spend your days? What do you tolerate? And what are the deal breakers? And then you go to your life purpose, could be your career or your job. What do you tolerate? What are the deal breakers? Your finances. What do you tolerate? What are the deal breakers? And then spirituality. What do you tolerate? What are the deal breakers? We can work together on any or all of these in one of my coaching packages. Email me at thestagesoflove@gmail.com to inquire. And by the way, I offer what's called a power shot. A power shot is a conversation that can run anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. And on that call, we distinguish whatever it is that you're up to. And you can get a sense of what might be available if we were to work together. Again, you can inquire about the power shot through an email. The power shot is $75, and you're limited to one. But for anybody on this call, if you schedule one before the end of the month, now it can be scheduled any time between now and next month, but you schedule it with me this month, you can have it for $45. Now, the game that I'm talking about here, the maximizing the quality of your life, or the game of your relationships, these games are championship games. They're not for the faint of heart. These are games where you must put everything in. If you're already in a couple and you want to save that couple or expand that couple or grow that couple, then I suggest you get to work. What are you tolerating in the relationship? What are the deal breakers? What are the three qualities that must exist for you? So now think, because I'm going to take some sharing. You might answer the question, what are the three qualities? You might want to touch on some of your tolerances or deal breakers or anything that you've seen within this conversation. We've covered a lot, and you may have something to say. Some of you might even be afraid to speak up. I'm encouraging you to give up that fear and to step out because everything counts. I am interested in hearing from you. It seems like forever to unmute. So anyway, let me hear from somebody. Come on.
This is Doreen.
It's something. Doreen, darling, so glad you're on
Hi,
the call. I haven't heard your voice in a long time.
So my area is and always has been my body.
Yes.
And I'm 66 years old, and I have tolerated it for 66 years.
Yeah. What do you tolerate?
Being overweight.
Yeah, but see, so let's just pick it apart a little bit. Can we do that, Doreen, just a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so how many, if you don't mind saying, and if you do, of course, just don't say it, but how many pounds are we talking about?
Probably 40.
All right, so let's just say 40 pounds. Now, now you might just be designed bigger, right, where you have 40 pounds more than most people your size and height that could be. But we don't want to use any excuses in the coaching. We really want to dig deep because there are areas, see, because I know that you're an extraordinary cook, aren't you?
Yeah.
So a part of your life purpose gets layered on top of this thing called your physicality that you have to deal with, yeah?
Yeah.
So there are things in your diet that you tolerate. What are some things that you tolerate in your diet?
Sugar.
Okay, so sugar. And for most people, and listen, I am not on a bandwagon for anybody to do anything, okay? But for most people, sugar really is poison. But then if you take sugar out and you put in all the fake stuff, well, you've just gone from one poison to something worse.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do one or the other, I'd assume you do the real deal. But you just want to confront reality. Reality is you are too casual. See, it doesn't cost you enough. You're still beautiful. You have a wonderful marriage. You know, you have a life that works. And it's easy to be casual in that area because you don't pay as big a price as some other folks might. I'm not excusing it because, listen, unless you can choose it and tolerate it and say, I give up the right to ever complain about this for the rest of my life, then it's a deal breaker. So now my question to you is it a deal breaker or is it really something, hey, you know what, I've done it for 66 years of my life, I'm going to do it for the next 50?
Well, you know, recently I've kind of come to that and said, you know, but my fear is I'm shortening my life, and at 66 I have a 26-year-old son, and I'm so committed to being a grandma to his kids when the time comes. So that is really the part that hits me now, where I never felt anything before like that.
There you go. So then I would say for you, Doreen, it is a deal breaker, and you cannot be casual. You cannot be casual. Now, when I say you cannot be casual, what do you hear?
I need to make other choices.
Yeah, but you can't wait and figure them out over the next few months. See, you got to go to bed tonight and wake up in the morning and make a list, and you say, on this list are the things that are going to give me the results I want. And most people, when it comes to their physical body, are casual. In our culture, most people are casual. So you either have people who are very extreme, which will drive you crazy. I'm sure I drive some people crazy with my extremities. And then you have people who are extremely casual. But the thing is, if you aren't extreme, you will not get the results, especially at 66 years old. See, if you were 36 years old or 26 years old, unfortunately, you can afford to be casual. That's what gets us to where we are now, by the way, because we bounce back and forth during those years, and we train ourselves that it works that way. And then you hit 50, and it doesn't work that way anymore, period, the end, right?
Right.
So, you know, if you want to talk about this more, by all means, we can have a short call. I could go through a few things with you where I would say this is where you got to take the casualness out, because one of the things I want to dig up with you is where are you really casual? See, not just casual in your actions, but there's a casualty in your thinking. See, some people think, well, if I just go on, that's going to give me what I want. Wrong. See, I know that you and Mike walk. I don't know if you walk every day, but I know you guys walk quite a lot, right? I mean, that's
no, we don't.
You're not.
No,
walking.
We don't.
Okay, so you know, some folks, you know, they walk a mile a day, and that's really nice. I mean, it gives your body some benefits. It's good for your brain. But given what you want, a nice casual walk a mile a day is insufficient. You've got to get real. You've got to get very real. And as the cook that you are, now you're going to start wanting to look at what are some amazing things that I can start training people in cooking and feeding people that's so extremely delicious but serves the physical body, our health, vitality, our well-being. See, the one thing that I took on this year in a very big way is I eat for energy. Now, I love food, and I love the taste of food. I'm not going to pretend that I don't eat stuff that sometimes I really know would be better that I didn't. But my primary focus is what's going to give me energy. And if it's not going to give me energy, I have to choose. Am I willing to forfeit natural energy to have it? And sometimes I'll say yes, but mostly I'll say no. Doreen, thank you. Thank you. It's a huge contribution. Really, I'm so happy to hear you on the call. Thanks. Anybody else? I guess I scared you all now, right?
No, this is Susie.
Who's it, Susie? Yes, Susie. Hi.
I just wanted to say.
How are you?
Oh.
Good.
Go ahead.
Chugging along.
Oh.
Just include the background noise.
Okay. I just wanted to say that.
Some things I would have done different.
Okay.
But,
whoever that is, Doreen, is that you talking to somebody?
We did a lot.
No.
It sounds like your voice. I don't know who that is.
In a short time. I think everybody I've talked to is kind of exhausted at the end of it.
Okay, Susie, just talk loud.
Yeah, it was a long day.
Okay, so I just wanted to say, Doreen, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really needed to hear all that, and that was one of mine. I'm on the same boat. I'm in the same boat. And so thank you. It was really great.
Thanks, Susie.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. Sorry for the background noise. Sometimes
That's
I
okay.
don't realize, you know. Okay, so now you're muted. Thank you guys for stepping in. Now, when you get to that place, so the place where all these things that we talked about are powerfully distinguished for you, and now I'm pointing to the relationship, okay? I'm pointing to the couples. I'm pointing to your relationships. You get these things powerfully distinguished, and then I'm going to say, create adoration for your partner. The benefits of expressing adoration authentically are endless. Couples who've been happy together for many years express adoration for their partners. In a survey of 470 studies on compatibility, psychologist Marcel Zentner of the University of Geneva, she found no particular combination of personality traits that leads to sustained romance, with one exception: the ability to sustain your positive illusions. Couples who continue to maintain that their partner is attractive, sexy, funny, kind, and ideal for them in just about every way remain content with each other. Their brain activity is love stimulated as much as new lovers of only 7 months. Only the older couples have less anxiety and more calmness. The phenomenon is known as love blindness, and I'm calling that adoration. Adore, to regard with the utmost esteem, love, and respect, to honor. You'll make all the little decisions with your head, but the big ones you will make with your heart. So listen closely. Complacency will never produce the kinds of shifts in our behaviors and in our relating to each other that you and I are committed to. Being casual in regard to your quality of life can no longer be tolerated. If it is, then you will not maximize the quality, but will simply have plenty to complain about for the rest of your years. And by the way, given the work I do, I work with really great people. I work with thousands of couples. I've become certain that this is sometimes more important to people. That is, being casual, expecting that maximizing the experience of life will handle itself. And hey, if it is that way for you and you own it, awesome. Just be clear, you also give up the right to complain about it. On the other hand, be honest with yourself. Are the deal breakers bigger than you can tolerate? Are you living in an illusion about a future that will never happen? Have you settled for less than you desire and pretending it will somehow change? If you settle for less than you desire and you're responsible for that choice, cool. But if you're pretending or you're unsure, then focus on maximizing your quality of life. Focus on raising your vibrational frequency, attracting more of what really matters to you, attracting a fit for who you are. Focus on the 7 areas and the 7 actions. See, often we place our ideals above reality. Now, when I'm talking about relationships and couples and lives together, I invite you to get interested in a partner for life, not a life sentence, but someone who will partner in maximizing the quality of your life. If you're uncertain, it's time for coaching. Call me. Anything that seems stable, constant, in there lies a hidden decline. In other words, if you're not taking on maximizing the quality of your life, if you're not taking on maximizing the quality of your relationships, actions that encourage growth and development, then it is shrinking. You are shrinking. No option. It's a physical law. What you focus on expands. What gets no focus shrinks. So I want to give you the 7 actions quickly. Number 1, distinguish the theme of your life. Number 2, discover and get in touch with your sweet spot. Number 3, do a cost-benefit analysis within the 7 focus areas. Number 4, distinguish the tolerances and deal breakers. Number 5, choose powerfully your tolerances and deal powerfully with the deal breakers. Number 6, uncover the 3 qualities of harmony. And number 7, find and live your life purpose. If you're able to join us Thursday evening in Sacramento at the DoubleTree, 7 p.m., $60. Our next call is Sunday, October 19th, 6 p.m., same number. Please pass it on. I'm going to be changing the way I'm doing the reminders. Some people don't appreciate the text, but it seems to be the only way I can get it out there. I'm going to do it one more month, but I'm going to encourage you now to share the right number for me and to get people on our call. Next month, Saturday, October 18th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., I will be at the Center for Spiritual Living. I'll be presenting a new program called The 7 Stages of Love Through the 7 Stages of Life. Tickets are $30, and you can register online, www.thestagesoflove.com. I am now going to complete the call, but I want to give anybody an opportunity to say anything before I say good night. Before we complete, anybody?
Yeah, Thomas, have you decided when you have the Skype call for the makeup?
Who is this? Is this Rod?
Yes.
Rod, what I'm going to do is I'll tell you what, you'll get an email from me, but what I am doing is a PowerPoint with the videos embedded, and you'll also get a video recording of the coaching interactions, because this month we're going to do a lot of front of the room work. And so I'm going to record that, and you'll get those also. And then we'll schedule a time that we'll go through those together. Does that work for you?
Okay, great.
You'll get the whole deal, man. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Thank you, Rod. Thanks for asking. Anything to complete the call?
Thomas, David?
Yeah, David.
I love you, Thomas.
Love you too, Gene. Thanks. Yeah, David.
Well, I wanted to share earlier, but I don't know, is it too late to share or ask a question?
No, go for it.
So my walk away, what I want to share about is is my area of health and well-being.
Yes.
And that I was successful in losing almost 100 pounds. And then, 2011, and then 3 years later, I'm averaging about 2/3 of that are back, and I've leveled off, so I've never fully regained it. Now, where I want to stay out of is the analytical mind.
Yes.
In my analytical mind, it's simple. Oh, yeah, exercise, calories, blah, blah, blah. I know all that. And my walk away tonight is, what is something new that can be created? Because when I went to, what motivated me to lose the weight back in the day was
You're muffled.
on the waiting.
There you go.
I hear a lot of noise. I'm on the waiting list for knee surgery, acid reflux, the list goes on.
Yep.
And then never did have given the breakthrough, never had the surgery, never had acid reflux like that again. This is years later. So all these great things. What I'm trying to learn in the inquiry of is starting, like, what is something, you kind of tapped on something, and it was, what am I trying to like, motivational-wise, or kind of reference the language you used. Like, if there was...
that I used tonight, or that I used with you on a call one time?
No, with tonight, but you used a word like, I don't know if it was motivation, or if something you created for yourself as a true incentive that causes the shift. Because, like, for example, I am just not motivated to go to the gym.
Of course not.
Pure and simple.
Of course not. Well, so let's talk about that for a moment, okay?
Okay.
There's a couple things that you have to first distinguish, and one is, see, if a person goes to the gym, even on a regular basis, but the results they get are minute, then they're not going to have the motivation to go. So you got to have the kind of results that inspire you to keep you going, because mostly it's not any fun going to the gym, right? I don't think there's anybody on the call who say, "Oh yeah, I love going to the gym." There comes a point where the payoff is great enough that going to the gym becomes fun because of the payoff. But the actual getting your butt out of bed, getting there, and getting the job done, if you don't get a lot of results, you don't really have a lot of motivation. You there?
Yes.
Okay. Eating. See, when you took the weight off, you did a specific program, and the program, by design, takes weight off. What they try to do while they're taking weight off with calories and a blend of certain types of foods, what they try to do is to get you to retrain yourself in the way that you eat. The reason that's not wildly successful for people over time is because the win, it takes so much to get the win. See, that kind of eating isn't natural. You have to go there and get your food. There's so many pieces to it. Unless you connect to them like a club and be part of the culture, it's not enough incentive, especially for a man, from my point of view. So the thing that has to happen, see, I eat for energy. That is a mindset change. That mindset change takes food from my mouth and relies on my brain to make choices. You follow?
Yes.
The taste buds aren't the driver. And that's a big shift, David. It may not work for you. It might be something else we'll have to dig up together. But I think, to tell you the truth, because, see, you are in politics. You have big dreams. You have things that you want to cause. Well, the best way to express the kind of power your mind has and your brain has is to create the results you really want, to keep them consistent, and to be able to show those results from the podium.
Mm-hmm.
You could create that as a motivation for yourself.
Got it.
What are you hearing?
That you tap on, it's like what comes natural for me, because I'm very much in action, playing in larger and larger games, if you will, in service to the community, political involvement, etc. That comes natural. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And it's like, what I get is, how do I transfer that over to being in action, that I pursue my health and well-being?
Well, you're not going to live long enough to fulfill on your dreams. That's one right there.
And I get that. It just that recognition in itself.
Jack, I made it worse.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I get that. So one other thing too, David, that I also know in that arena is that the people that you're playing with, all of those people kind of have the same kind of eating habits because you all do those banquet dinners. You know, there's lots of eating out. There's lots of entertaining. You know, we had to pretty much take that out of our lifestyle.
Got it. True.
And
True.
Big one. It's a big one because, you know, you have to train yourself to go and mingle without being there to indulge. Excuse me. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd be willing for you and I to have a call together. It's 7 o'clock now, so I got to complete. That we dig a little deeper and come up with an action plan to create your sweet spot, to get that thing loud enough that it makes it worth your while. See, I would say your sweet spot revolves around, you know, your political office drive. I think that's your sweet spot. Now we got to use that to impact all the other areas of your life, and we will.
Sounds great. Thank you, Thomas.
All right, my brother. Thanks. Good night, everybody. I hope to hear you on next month's call. See you at the workshop. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye, Thomas.
Thomas.